gosh. Hello. 哦，然后我刚刚讲到很 enthusiastic，连那个 video hang fleeting doodles。诶 Hello guys, so sorry for the super anticlimactic hang. I was so enthusiastic and then it hang. Thank you for joining back. Oh, hello Rachel. Oh my god, I'm so happy everyone's joining back. Yeah. I really hope my internet will last through this 1 hour. Please, 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 please. Okay, we waiting for Winifred to join back. But I don't know where I hang. Can you tell me what was the last thing that you heard from me?
Oh my god, so funny. Okay.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
I was talking about the last point that it hang. Is it?
Yeah, the last point, which is I don't want to talk about money because I'm an artist. Yeah, my work should be accessible, or it should be priceless. And if I put a price tag on my work, then it makes me feel drained. Yeah,
Yes.
like drain out the joy of creating. Yeah.
Yes. And then the
Okay.
last point, which I'm the most
Yeah.
excited about to share, is
Yes.
the last pain point is thinking that you don't have a choice in being in an environment that doesn't support nor value art. Thinking that you
Yeah.
can't control anything. So that is a myth. We're going to debunk it
Yes.
today.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So excited. Okay.
Yay.
Yay. If you guys have any questions, y'all just feel free to, is it comments or is there a question box that they can
I
type in?
got question box, yeah, but feel free to
Oh,
comment.
oh
Ask any
yes, there's a question box. Okay,
Yay.
let's see. Okay, great. Yeah, so there's this like question mark and like there's a thing at the bottom that you guys can comment, I think. Yeah. Okay. Okay, ready?
Yeah. You want to go?
Yeah. Oh my God, like the momentum got cut off then I was like, oh, where do I begin again?
I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Let me see where did I come from. Okay, so let me start with the most common one. Like a lot of people just think that if you put a certain price tag or you price too high, then like if nobody buys something from you, then you suddenly like go into this self-limiting belief that okay, maybe it's because I'm not good enough. That's why nobody is buying my work at this certain price point that I'm putting on it. Yeah. So I just want to like kind of maybe debunk this first one because I myself have been through that as like a creative. Yeah, that like I priced too high and then at this moment when nobody buys, I straight away went into like a self-limiting belief mode that like oh my god, because I'm not good enough, blah blah, that's why nobody's buying. And then I went down this rabbit hole. So it's like a vicious cycle and it's a very dangerous vicious cycle that I see many people are facing right now. Even sometimes when I talk to my students, like people are facing it as well. So yeah, so we just want to share, right, like the reason why you feel this way, that like you press high and then nobody buys and immediately think that you're bad, is because in the first place, truth bomb because in the first place, right, you didn't believe in your own work. So that is as simple as it is. Yeah. We both been through that step. Yeah, so it's a very simple thing. Sometimes, so you might want to take some time to go back and like, think about it as well, because sometimes it doesn't come immediately. Like when I was told that I didn't believe in my work, my first reaction was resistance. I was like, no, like I believe in my work. And then, so it was my life coach then from LITO podcast who actually debunked this for me. She's like, if you believe in your own work, then why the moment someone doesn't buy your things or doesn't attend your workshop, then you immediately think that you're not good. Yeah. So I think this is something that so I think this is something that a lot of us can relate to, because even up to today I still have students coming to me. It's like oh no, I don't think I can price this high. Oh no, I cannot because it's too competitive, blah blah kind of thing. So from that, maybe you can think about, if the environment is something you cannot control, then what is something you can control? That is something that you can go back and think about it as well. And writing down like always helps. Yeah. So what happens is when you don't believe in yourself And then the moment nobody buys from you, you take that second part where nobody buys from you as an evidence to affirm your self-limiting beliefs. So technically, right, you don't believe in yourself in the first place. You're just waiting for evidences to drop, and then you're like, oh yes, you see, this is the reason why I'm not good enough. This is the reason why nobody buys from me. Yeah, so you're just seeking for evidences to affirm this self-limiting belief. Okay, so stop there. Don't do that anymore. Go back, maybe you can go back and ask yourself like why you started in the first place, and then like what do you believe in. And if you really don't believe in your work, then maybe you can ask yourself what is something you believe in, and then that may be a good starting point for you to start all over this thought. Yeah. And I just want to share one very good like I think what's that called, like tip that our life coach actually taught us, that he said that in your creative business, right, there is no right or wrong decisions. So yeah, someone can tell you should price this, you should price that, blah blah blah, not, but that is their opinion. Okay, so there is no right or wrong decision. A good decision is a decision that you can fully trust and believe in. Or do you really like your reason for making that decision? It's as simple as that. Yeah, because there is no definitive thing in this world, no absolute value as well. Everything is changing all the time. Every circumstances, every project is different. So yeah, you cannot say today I want to price myself as like $100 per hour, then I will stick to that, something like that. So it doesn't work that way. So you have to kind of like really dig back into yeah, like what is the decision they are at peace with at that point of time. Yep.
I think it's very interesting
Okay.
how we as creative, even though being creative is our line, but we try so hard to seek outside validation or to model after some sort of rule book that is like man-made, don't know from where, passed down from very opaque industries or very hierarchical industries. And then you're like, okay, then this is like my Bible. Like if other people price like that, I cannot price I cannot work in a different way. And a lot of times we like blame our environment, like, oh my god, like this industry is so toxic, like our culture simply does not promote arts, like see the government, blah 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 blah. You know, complain a lot about all these kind of things. But then right, like we have to also understand that we are also part of the environment. We are part of the culture as well. And if we first want to see change in a society or like just our culture, you must take action as well. Like you must understand what role do you play in this toxic environment, and that role, maybe unbeknownst to like a lot of people, is really what you think of yourself and your work. Because I didn't know I was like that last time, because like I would complain so much about like, you know, how being an artist is very hard to survive and stuff. But then like when someone doesn't want to pay me what I'm worth, or like whenever client come in, right, I always feel like they are gonna eat me, you know, like I throw one number, they confirm like will go, you know, negotiate. You know, then I see that always as a confirmation to clients don't want to pay, cannot survive, blah 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 blah. And that is on me. Like, and because I kept believing it, I just kept letting it perpetuate. And then clients don't know what, they're not creatives, right? And then if we keep letting it happen, that's why it's like that for so many years. I think the most important part is like really recognizing that we all might have this mindset because of how we were brought up, what we were told when we were younger, or like when you tell your parents you want to be an artist or you want to be a creative or you want to be a freelancer, what did people tell you? What
You
did
have no stable income, you will fail. It's not yeah, like you cannot make a living out of it. Yeah. So all these are very self-limiting beliefs that I feel like the past generation believed, but I think we should change from here, because how they were brought up is very different from how we are being brought up today. I feel like today there's just so much opportunities out there, and if we stick by that self-limiting belief, we are just really limiting like our own future. Yeah. And I just want to quickly add on the note, right? Why is it so easy to just fall into this self-limiting belief? It's also because it just feels more safe. Like it just feels safer to like, oh, okay, yes, I'm not good enough. Then you just lean into it and you feel very comfortable in that zone. But like it's a false sense of safety. Yeah. It only makes you feel safe for this short moment of time, and then in the long run you will start to then blame the whole environment again. It's a vicious cycle, it never stops. Yeah.
yes Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, for sense of safety, don't lean into that. I think it's very important to I think read more books, talk to more people, and then just upgrade your entire system. Open up your mindset to even if people that you don't agree to, just open up your mind to just listen to what they have to say. And yeah, I think that is really the first step to working towards a healthy mindset. Just really allow yourself to be open and to learn. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
one of the hardest things is really to be honest with yourself,
Mm,
right? And to even recognize that what is the difference between familiarity or what you're
mm,
used to and safetiness that you feel. Maybe you're used to people pleasing and that might feel safe to you, but actually it's just familiar because it's not
mm.
doing you good in the long run. Then
Right,
it's
it's
actually
so good.
not. Yeah, oh my
Oh
god.
my
This
goodness.
is like learn from learn
Our own
from my
mistakes.
base couch and like my life coach sessions. And
Yeah,
basically
oh my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you wanted to talk about like having a choice, right?
Mm, yes. Oh my gosh. I think
Ting
one thing
ting.
I learned, like the biggest lesson I learned last year in 2021 was to take accountability. Because
Mm,
once you recognize that you always have a choice, right? You always have a choice in whatever that you do, including you have a choice to make this into your career. You have a choice to
mm,
price low also. And you
mm,
also have the choice to decide whether you want to feel like a victim in your environment. And I know like maybe you might think that it takes a lot of privilege, like for a person in privilege to say that, you have a choice because like not everyone have a choice, but you actually do. And even if you think that you are in not a very nurturing environment, for you to have
mm,
a lot of choices as compared to someone in a place of privilege, you will always have at least like one choice, like including like I want to make this as a career. That is the choice that you have because anything that is coming from you is all within your control. And so
mm,
that's why conversely, you have the choice to pull through the hardship of solopreneurship, right? With grace. You have the choice to price high. You have the choice to
mm,
price what you're worth, and you have the choice to make use of your unfair advantages to thrive. What I mean by unfair advantages, everyone has unfair advantages. So
mm,
it doesn't need to be like a good thing per se. Like, I mean, being rich or whatever makes you more privileged, have more access, then maybe you can pursue art in a more comfortable way. That is one unfair advantage. But um, for example, how I use my unfair advantage of being not formally trained in art
mm,
and not being born in a rich family, I use that to fuel myself because uh, I feel like that was my unfair advantage because not being born with a silver spoon, right, really made me very like enterprising since young. I've always tried like many different ways to make money and I find so much joy and my passion is like finding ways to make money. Yeah, that is one of my passions also. And that is my unfair advantage. Even though it came from like a bad-ish place or
mm,
like the part where I said that I am self-taught in art, like I was not
mm,
formally trained, I use it as my unfair advantage. Because if you realize, if you Google me, like that is my story. Like HennDrawn is the girl who self-taught art, never trained in art, but made it as a career. Like because of this, like it fueled me in ways that was special to me. And sometimes certain things have to happen for you to have that
mm,
enough motivation and that
mm.
enough like energy, right, to take action. Yeah, so
Yes,
everyone.
so agree. And oh my God, thanks for sharing. It's so good. Crying. Yeah, I just want to share also this very good quote that Seemin shared with me in a book that she read. It says like, and I think this is applicable to anything in life that you can apply, yeah, basically. So whether something is an opportunity or a crisis depends not only on the thing itself, but rather on the eyes with which you see that thing and the perspective that you interpret it with. So always remember that your perspective determines your response and which determines your reality. Okay, so everything is inside, everything is in the mind. So it's not the external events itself. And this is true for everything. And on the point that she was talking about, like, because there is this like hunger to need to improve or need to learn from your environment. I think this is the case for a lot of creative entrepreneurs that I hear from as well, or anybody trying to make something work out there. Because if everything is very comfortable, I think as human nature, it's very hard for anyone to just move out of that comfort zone. And sometimes I think it's just reality that shit needs to hit the fence before we would do something to ourselves. Yeah, so I mean, we have a lot of stories to share in our business, but we shall not go into that. But just, yeah, I need to know that like sometimes bad things happen, right? It's not, oh my God, this is bad and I suck and I'm just gonna dwell in this like pile of like mud forever. It's sometimes it's just a sign for you to take it a different direction, or something that you can reflect on, and then you can move on from there with a brand new perspective. So that is all it is. Yeah, so your perspective is very important. Do you see it as a crisis or do you see it as an opportunity? That's very important. Yeah, and later on, the example that I'm sharing from my personal experience is all about this. So, yeah, so in a while you all will hear about it. I think let Seemin speak first. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yay.
Yeah, your perspective and your reactions is basically the only thing that you can control in any circumstance. Yeah. Okay, so right, I yeah, I mean, I wanted to share a little bit more about my journey. For the past like 6 years, operating HennDrawn, and I feel like I share this a lot, but then maybe a lot of y'all they don't really hear it from like this perspective, because y'all know, right? I look so confident on the outside, right? And HennDrawn looks like, woo, like great, I'm really doing well and stuff. But I spent the first 4 years of my career feeling like a huge imposter. Like, I think that I was not good enough because I thought that I was not trained in arts in any way. I feel like anybody who had an art degree could easily overtake me or could easily replace me. And like, I was constantly thinking that like it's so difficult to make it as an artist in Singapore. And because that was told to me when I told my mom that I wanted to do this full time, or like um I just told my teachers or like my friends, and everyone was just like look at me funny and stuff, and I believed them. So for the first 4 years, I was suffering so much because I feel like, wow, no matter what I do, right, I just kept striving for that perfect version of me that I never seem to be able to reach because I just didn't believe. And like when your beliefs and your values don't align with like whoever you want to be, right? Then no matter like how much you're striving, you'll always feel like an imposter, even if like you already kind of reached there. Yeah. So um yeah. So like last time, right? Like whenever I throw out a prize and then I get pushed back, and then like I will just be like, oh my gosh, yeah, they think I'm too expensive because they think I'm not good enough, right? Every time I'll just think like that. And then I will like complain. But to be honest now, after so many years, right, I've learned that it's nothing personal. Like every single circumstance is inherently neutral. Like if clients don't want to, clients say no to you, it's nothing against you because maybe it's just a budget problem. Okay? Or maybe they just like didn't know beforehand how much budget to allocate to you, especially if you're creative. Like if you're in a very not very conventional field, or you create such a strong niche of yourself that your pricing, right, it's not very dependent on the market rate, then obviously the client will be a bit clueless. I don't know how much to budget for you. So I really learned that, wow, it's nothing personal.
Yeah, very objective. It's just an objective thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course my brain just believe never mind, I'm not good enough.
Everybody falls into this trap so easily. I mean, it took us years to realize it also. I mean, back then we didn't have all these like frameworks to help us learn, right? But I think seriously today, you just go on Spotify, YouTube, whatever. There's so many things that can guide you out of this, yeah, this thing itself.
Yes, if not, right, just surround yourself with people like us.
Yay! Join us on IG Live all the time. Yeah, man. No, seriously, I feel like I also wouldn't have made it out of my hole. I think if not for you, really, really. Yeah.
Me too.
I really love this very supportive I mean, like friendship and creative partnership that we have, I think, yeah, you're already a gem.
What is this? I haven't finished sharing it.
Don't cry, don't cry. Monotonous. Yeah.
It's so right. Oh yeah. Okay, I forgot to continue the story. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
So like first 4 years, I was like going through like just I thought I was an imposter. I thought I was a one-trick pony. I thought I reached my peak. That means like, oh, I already got a success. Then I can never reach it again because I'm just not the real deal, right? I'm not the real thing. And during the pandemic, like I was shattered. Like it completely shattered me because wow, I suddenly realized when the pandemic forced everyone to pause, right? And then like you got time to think about yourself. Then I suddenly realized that oh, I've been chasing the money so intensely in order to prove that I am good enough or successful, because that's the metrics that a lot of people use. I really forgot I really forgot like why I started this art form in the first place. Yeah, and I spent the last 2 years really doing a lot of soul searching, and also like acquainting myself with friends like Winifred. We had a arts residency thingy like during the pandemic period where we just come together and we just don't really do our art forms, and we just try something new together. And wow, that really saved me. Like honestly, it's like an understatement because I was just feeling so freaking low, and because all this while I've been trying to be this person, right? This successful version of HennDrawn Seemin. Then when everything came crashing on me, my ego also couldn't take it. I also like don't dare to admit. They're like, oh, I'm in such a fluke all this while. I don't believe in myself because nobody would believe that I didn't believe in myself. And yeah, but like honestly, surround yourself with authentic and like friends who can hold space for you even when you're struggling. I mean, obviously, especially when you're struggling.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like that, at the point of time, I didn't even really say the full depth of what I was feeling to Winifred or to Shehan or whatever. But somehow being in their presence is just so uplifting. And it reminded me, why I started in the first place. Because I want to go back to this feeling again. Like, I chose what I want to do. It's not because I want to be a slave to it. I chose what I want to do because I want to have a freedom-based life. Like, I want to lead a freedom-based life. I have freedom in every step. I have freedom right now.
Doing this live right now.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that's very important that during our art residencies, right? Although it's just like, you know, to other people it's like, oh, you guys just gather and play and y'all do nothing and y'all don't earn money all of it. Like I think so many people just undermine the importance of play. Like it was those moments that we just gather and do our art, right? That we don't think about anything else. I'm not trying to say your whole life is just be like that. It's always a balance between both. Which you can earn your money, you can do your business, whatever. You also need to take time off to play because that reminds you of who you genuinely are on the inside, which is your inner child. Like who are you when you take away all these responsibilities? And I think that is the first step to finding who you are inside. I think like through our art residencies and just, you know, we do painting, we do sugar flowers, right? Then we also do jaguar, what else? We do so many things. And then I think it was in those moments that like in art itself that it teaches us so much. Patience is one thing and eye for something else is another thing. When we are working on different craft, it always pushes us out of our comfort zones, but it's also in all those comfort zones that we learn so much. You know, like last time, right? I love painting. Like I just love painted works, but I never dare to step into it because again, self-limiting belief. I just feel like so many colors. It's so hard to mix. I've never done acrylic painting before. I've never done watercolor. It's so hard. Like where do I even start? And then this part I wanted to say because like what Seemin did to me really I think changed my life from then on. Like it was right before the pandemic actually. So you were already who you were before the pandemic, yeah. So she just took the brush and then she just showed me like, you know, oh my God, you don't have to be scared. Like you just need to paint your first stroke and then you see what happens from there. Because I think in my mind I was so concerned about having to paint the perfect photo or picture that I cannot make any mistakes. But if you don't make mistakes, then how do you learn, right? So I think that's the most important thing. So I think Seemin was very like she was very forgiving in terms of her way of teaching. So she was like saying, go ahead, just paint your first stroke. It's okay if it's wrong. Then I was like, no, it's not okay. Then she's like, it's really okay. You just layer on and then we just see what we can do from there. And then like slowly, step by step, I call this like the small milestones. It really gave me the momentum. And then so we spent the entire day, right, just painting one petal. But that one petal taught me so much. So I think a lot of people, a lot of times we need to really see beyond what is in front of us. It's not the thing itself, it's what lies behind it that teaches you so much. So within that one petal, right, she has taught me so much techniques and mindset to how to conquer that one petal. And then by the second day, I freaking paint the entire flower myself. It's like, it's not impossible without her guidance. And it only took us that one day and one petal to change my entire mindset around painting. And I think
Wow.
that's just so unbelievable. Yeah. Oh my god,
You
it's
know
not
what?
planned, but I just need to say it.
You know what's unbelievable is when she asked me, right, can you teach you painting? Then I'm like, you asked me, like, I never learned art before in like art school. I never learned painting
I
and
never
one and you want to ask me to teach you. You know, huge
because I
imposter.
saw the potential like in her, and then I think for me it's also really just letting my ego like fade off and be willing to open to ask for help, because like I think that's a huge part that has been hindering my own growth. I think at least for the past few years, and I think it wasn't until 2 years ago or is it 1 year ago we did like this self work thing together, like journeying inwards, that we learn so much, and then it suddenly just opens up our mind. And so yeah, so that was the point. I was like, there's really no harm in asking for help. So yeah, my life really changed from there on. So I think yeah, it's very important to adjust the mindset inside, and then everything on the outside will flow. So naturally with pricing as well, once you adjust on the inside, you know you're all aligned inside, you know what you're providing for people, you know there is value in you, and then the pricing part is really easy. We'll talk about it later on as well, like just a tiny bit of it.
Right. And our life coach that time he
Mm.
posted a youth form which made me think a lot. Basically, right, how much self-belief you have is directly correlational to how much you think you can earn.
Yep.
Let it sink in.
Yes.
So how honest you are with yourself, and that includes knowing exactly how much you believe in yourself, how much you believe in your craft, how how much you should value yourself. It will directly will directly relate to how you price yourself, because from then on, then you can price honestly, and then after you price honestly, you won't have all the things that I had, like being an imposter and all that.
Mm, mm. Yeah, we will talk about imposter syndrome also, because it was something that our life coach actually coached both of us on, and then on, although we do very different creative business, but it just showed up like so it's very important. And yeah, I think we have to just a thing to hopefully bring some relief for you guys, like how it did for us. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So oh yeah, this part is done with it, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Anybody got any questions?
yeah, I feel like we've just been rambling on. You can ask any
Yeah.
question. You guys do it. How I cannot check, so you can check on your part. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Please post this live so we can rewatch it. I need to
Too
take
many
so
notes.
many notes. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Carissa.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot, a lot. A lot is from our reading, our listening, our coaching sessions. So yeah, it's really a lot to take in one day. So yeah, we'll save this as a replay so you can go back and like listen to it again. Yeah.
Wow, this is our podcast.
Should we start a podcast? We shall see. Yeah. And okay, so I think Seemin wrote here a few questions that maybe will help you guys also start to find your like inner self. If you are feeling stuck or you do not know how to move on from here, is yeah, you guys really need to take notes. You all can go back and replay this again. Okay, so the first question is when was the last time that you felt truly happy? Okay, I think this is very important, because in a society that teaches us that we need this, we need that, we need money, we need house, we need car, blah 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 blah, the list goes on. It's so easy to forget what you really need and want. You know, it's so easy to just lean onto the others. Yeah. Okay, so then the next is like, if you believe that you cannot do something, maybe if you think that, oh, I cannot make a career out of my craft, I cannot paint like how I was, I cannot do something. Did all this come from past programming? And if so, what if today you just lift up a pencil and you start drawing, or you take a brush and you start painting, or if you just start doing? And I think the moment you start doing is where you start to have data points to know that, okay, if this is working or this is not working. Because remember, like what I said in the beginning, nothing is absolute. So everything is like you have to start doing and then you plot data points from there. And then from there we learn. Because that's basically how any journey is like, not just entrepreneurship. I think in life it's like that as well. Yeah. And yeah, and then Seemin also wrote here that when you're doing all this, there's also a prompting to come, so you need to believe in your own voice. So maybe if you cannot think about something that you can compliment yourself with, you can think about what other people compliment you with. So for example, like maybe someone went up to me and said, "Oh my God, you can draw so well." Then maybe, you know, initially she didn't even believe she can draw so well. Like she was sharing her work from 5 years ago. I was like, the lines are freaking damn neat and nice already. Back then she didn't believe in herself. What is this? Yeah. So yeah, so something maybe like if like you want to go out to someone and say, hey, I want to start a business on this and that, and then maybe like the person was like, hey, I remember that you're very good with your colors, or hey, I remember you're so good with styling things together that everything makes sense. So maybe those are hints that, you know, those are the voice inside you that you can really seek inwards and think about that basically. Yeah. So it's a first place that you can start with. Yeah. And
Right.
yeah, and then I think from there, right, maybe it'll take a while. The journey is very different for everyone. That once you realize that you have control of things, basically what Seemin talked about perspective previously, you have a choice. So once you have control over like what you want to do and what you believe, right, you'll realize that you can really do anything you want. Like then you can massively put actions, take active steps into doing what you believe. Yeah, so I think that's the part that I think just very fearful for everyone, because we were like, oh, what if I fail, and what if I cannot achieve this, and what if I cannot achieve that? And I think Seemin has a very enlightening statement to talk about fear, anxiety. Like the bigger the fear, the it's not
Yeah.
written in the notes, but that day you were sharing with
Yes.
Jaden, so I thought it's very important. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
So, to me, right, whenever there's fear, it's a good sign that I need to lean into fear. I need to do exactly what the fear tells me to not do. Because the bigger the fear, right, it just means the more important that project is to you.
Mm.
Usually, right, we always have a lot of fear with the things that are the most important to us. Narina says, I always feel if you never try, you never know. It's true. And I feel like a lot of times we learn from doing. And like what Winifred says, we do, then we get data points, then we know, oh, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Because especially if you're new to making this as a career, you're free to experiment. Like life is for this, right? Like just keep experimenting until you keep refining till you reach the point where you're like, oh, I'm happy with my whatever that I'm doing. And
Yeah.
I just, when you were saying, right, I was just thinking, oh, like, what if all these people, you all don't know how to price yourself? It's because you all just don't know where to start believing in yourself. Like, you don't know if you can believe in yourself, and you just really don't believe. Because, right, like, when Winifred said that after you found the thing that, like, you're really, like, good at, and it's like a gap in the market, you will massively do. It's something that you cannot stop yourself on. You will just like feel like, oh my god, I am so good. Like everyone needs to see this, to feel this. Everyone needs to have this. Like I need to charge high because like everyone needs this. You know,
Yeah.
this is how we think when like we found our thing.
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
found our
Exactly.
unique path. Yeah, it's like we cannot stop ourselves. You know, like we just like, oh my god, marketing like becomes like not icky because I'm like, you need to see this.
Yeah, and then I think it's such a good point. Let's clarify that on marketing, because everybody always feels like, ew, I don't like to market for myself. It's so gross. Ew, who am I? You know, this kind of thing. I think we have to quote Dan for this. So, like next time Dan, if you're watching this, is our life coach. He's amazing. So he actually kind of debunked that for us. When I told him that I hate marketing for myself because it sounds so gross and like yeah, basically just so gross. Yeah. Then he was asking me, why do you think it sounds gross? Then I was like, I don't know. It just sounds so weird. Then he said, marketing by definition, basically is just a form of communication. And that's it. That's all.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation, yeah. So if you believe in what you do and you believe that you can provide value for the people who are seeking you, then what is so sleazy about marketing yourself? And you're telling us about like we are not a one-trick pony. Say maybe one-trick ponies people, they will be like, oh, my marketing is sleazy, but then again, these people are not even feeling sleazy about their marketing. So why should you if you're providing value to what the world needs? So this is just, yeah, our very, very, very good takeaway from our coach, I think. Yeah, it's basically really just a conversation with people that needs to hear from you. Because you believe you're so good now. You believe in the things that you provide for people. Like the funny thing is like we both found ourselves into this kind of topics when we were teaching our students. And the funny thing is that we do not even teach coaching. We don't even teach, well, we teach our own craft, and it just came out so naturally on like in ourselves that we want to help uplift our students, not only in terms of the techniques they are learning from us in the craft, but also like really just basically mindset adjustment. Because I was telling Seemin, every time I have a student came in like on day one, they are always like, you know, what can I learn? And then on day 3, they woke up with a different look on their face. So I think that is really a prompting, like, you know, that's why we wanted to do this IG live as well on top of our countless Yakun dates that we've been talking about this. Yeah. So
Yeah,
basically,
I think as like pragmatic human beings, we always focus so much on the doing, like the actions that we and the results that we will get. Okay, if I go to HennDrawn's workshop, I'll be able to do my own tattoos. Or I go to Winifred's workshop, I can make my own wedding cake next time, you know? But then
yeah,
like a lot of
there's so
times
much more behind it.
yeah, a lot of times right, you don't understand, right? Like, in order to be, for us to even be good in our craft is in the mindset, is in how we think. And like that's what we try to teach also in our workshops. It's like it doesn't really matter, right? Like if I teach you like how to price, you see, even in this IG life, it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter if you teach how to price. Like okay, you can do value-based pricing, can do hour-based pricing. Then after you never fix your mindset of a limiting belief, you will still go back to circle.
yeah,
Like
you'll
still go,
always come back.
yeah. So like the mindset is the most important, and that's why like we need to cover this first.
Yeah, when I just suddenly thought of something and I forgot after you kept it'll come back later. It'll come back later. Yeah. But so what's that called? Yeah, yeah. So basically that's what we're trying to talk about. If you don't fix the mindset right, you will always end up coming back to this loop of like thinking that you cannot. Yeah. So okay, I think from here I can share a bit of my personal experience. I'll try to keep it short because I realize we're almost 1 hour in already. Maybe this one will be 1.5 hours, we shall see. The longer the better. Yeah. Okay, so for mine, oh yeah, I remember what I want to say. So uh if you look at us, right, we didn't create our craft so perfectly in the first place. We also went through like the periods that we first started and it's not good. So I think it's really about the mindset that you have with failures. I always like to tell my students, you need to learn how to fail forward. And then like what I mean by fail forward is like you don't have a negative feeling with failure. So you learn to have a positive relationship with failure. You just hold failures hand and then you guys walk together, walk this journey together. So for example, I'm trying to learn Jaguar from Seemin now, and obviously I know my stroke sucks. Like it's not as good as her, but so
What do you say?
yeah.
What do you say?
Wait. It's not as good as I want it to be, but I'm okay with it. You see, like last time I'll be like, you know, my strokes are not nice. But then after I think like almost 10 years into my own craft, I can see that everybody starts somewhere. And that's why I always tell my students, they'll be like, oh, your stuff looks so intricate. You sure like I can do it? I'm like, yeah, everybody can do it. You just need time, you need patience. And you need to have the positive mindset to do. Yeah, so that's one thing that's very important also. I'm not digressing, but it's something that is very important because if you think about your pricing, um you price wrongly, so it's okay. Like you can undercharge, you can overcharge. Like we'll all make mistakes somewhere somehow. So don't put so much pressure on yourself that like, oh, now I do this craft or you know anything like this earring, this cake or this art piece that work out there, I must price correctly. No, there's no such thing. Okay, like there is always a learning like journey. You know, at some point you will after a few like some experiences you roughly know where you are worth and you will know how much to charge. So yeah, we all make mistakes before. We've both undercharged before, right? And then we probably at some point you overcharge before. We never know, but I mean, overcharge is always better than undercharge. So yeah, you can think about that for your own. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, coming back. Just needed to say that. And okay, I just want to share mine probably very quickly because it's a lot to do with imposter syndrome. And I think sometimes whenever I tell my students or audience that actually I'm facing like imposter syndrome, like they will not believe because they'll be like, how could it be? Like you're so good in your things, blah blah blah. And I want to say, right, it's very real. It's very real. Like the fear, the pain, and the struggle is very real. Like it caught me, how do I put it? Like it really dragged me through the muds, right, so badly that like for the past 6 months of like the last 6 months of 2021, I basically stopped creating anything. And everything I do is probably just clients project they want me to do, and then I do it, and I don't feel any joy in doing it. And can you believe that because this is my main source of like say income or like my craft, right, I feel so dreadful because like, and then I didn't know why I was going through that. And then anyway, I went on a coaching call, and that really changed me. And again, it's all about mindset, so we are always going back to mindsets. Okay, so let me see what there, right. Okay, so the main reason that my coach pointed out to me that why I stopped creating, right, is because I started to compare myself at that point of time to a peak phase that I had in my career. So like the peak phase was probably around like 2019, 2020 when we first launched our online course, and 2019 when I did a lot of overseas teaching. So that was somehow like the peak of my career. And then with like last year, a lot of things started to slow down. And then I just felt very uneasy. And the moment I do, like I put out a single art form, and it didn't feel as high achieving as my previous achievements, right? Then I start to think that I'm not good enough. So it's so dangerous because why would I even think that? Like, you know, it's just maybe because right now it's just a slower season, and then or like it could be a lot of other reasons. So it could also because I'm burnt out, like I've been doing so much, and then suddenly I just do not know what to do anymore. Yeah. So I like what Seemin was mentioning earlier, she felt like with HennDrawn she need to portray this like image, you know, that like HennDrawn is this, HennDrawn is perfect, and HennDrawn. So this is basically what I did with Winifred Kristé Cake as well. I felt like I have reached this point of my career that the image is so perfect that I need to maintain it. And my God, it's such a dangerous thought to have. I feel crying saying it because, right, I
Oh,
just, like, because of that, right, I stopped myself from creating, and it's so dangerous because, like, to be honest, I have so much potential. And then I just like let myself with all these like dangerous thoughts drown me out and distracted me from who I really was. And I realized that at that point of time, oh my God, I was actually constantly seeking external validation to who I was inside. Is so dangerous. And I think with social media and like when your work depends so much on social media, I hear from a lot of friends, YouTubers, I don't know, like IG people, they're talking about like, oh, if I put this word out there, I don't get enough views, I don't get enough likes, I don't get enough comments, so I'm not good. Oh, then I get very anxious. Then what should be the next content I should put out? So you realize when you do that, right? You're always thinking about what other people want, and like what you should do so that people will like you, will comment on your things, blah blah blah. Blah. But I want to tell you, it's really not important at all. It like the numbers, right? It's really just very unimportant noises that will distract you from you, what you believe, and your self-worth. So the moment I realized that my coach told me that that wasn't my peak and that I don't have to be my peak anymore, right? He started to ask me a lot of questions where, you know, I can then, oh, so basically that's just an imposter syndrome. All in all, because I thought that I had my peak already, I should maintain my peak. And I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I shouldn't be doing. So all these should and shouldn'ts, right, are very dangerous. Like you should just pull them out of the equation because you are human, you're changing all the time. The environment is changing all the time as well. There's nothing that you should or shouldn't, in a sense, be doing. Okay, so take that away from you, take that expectation away from you. So when he did that and he asked me a few questions that really brought me back into my inner child, which is the questions that we mentioned earlier, I started to really then believe in myself again, like in the work I do. And then from there, right, suddenly everything just went like uphill. Like it's just so crazy because, you know, it was just like everything is just happening inside, and then once I fix the inside, everything on the outside just flows. So like when I stopped creating, right, I also start to see that like, oh my God, my engagement, everything fell, my followers fell, and then I immediately use those as evidence to affirm my self-limiting beliefs, which was what we mentioned earlier in the starting at the start of this IG live. Yeah, so again, it's just a false sense of security. It's not real. Okay, so you need to kind of like balance that out. So what my coach did was, yeah, so he kind of brought me back to like who I was really. And then in that moment, I actually found the person that I lost, which the person, right, that when I first begin, I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. So if you bring yourself back to the point that you are so open to like everything, you will suddenly realize that everything changes from there on. There's no expectation that you have to perform. There's no expectation that, you know, by now you need to earn a certain amount of money. You just kind of like free yourself from all these expectations, and then you'll start to realize that once that mindset shifts, right, the energy shifts as well. So that is what happened to me. Like within one, like just after that 1 or 2 coaching calls that I did, right, my entire like maybe January to March is like meh, like kind of thing, and then the entire April just like phew, went upwards, like, you know, in an upwards like pattern. It's just so crazy, like, you know, like right now I start to see that like the things. So again, our perspective, right? So when I saw all those numbers going down, like I could have a choice to say that I'm not good enough, that's why the numbers are going down. Or I could also start to see them as opportunities, like, okay, the numbers are going down, maybe there's something I'm not doing right, and then what is something that I can explore further. So that was, I think, the part that actually changed like my trajectory towards like my business and how it now went on an upwards trend. Yeah. So really it's all on the inside. I just want to say that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I have to recognize that money is energy.
Yeah.
Like money is really energy, and how are you going to change the amount of money that you earn when you are not doing anything about your own internal energy, and like how you are using your life source to go to meet life, or like to go into your career. And I think it brings me to this question that Ting asked, Ting, how do you detach yourself from the
Oh,
numbers? And
Ting. Oh my god, hi Ting. Ting's from Enneagram class. Hi.
oh, hello.
It's your Hans friend.
I see. Yes. How do you detach yourself from the numbers? And coming from both of us, right? I and now that we so called have the numbers, then we can really tell you like numbers are just vanity metrics. It is not correlational to how much sales you're gonna get. I mean, obviously you have more exposure, more reach, then you're gonna have more sales. It's just like data, right? Like it's just like that. But if you don't make full use of it, or if you're not doing it the right way, just like Winifred, like the last 3 months, like her numbers were dwindling, her business was also like on a little bit of a decline, even though she had like what 60 plus K followers. So numbers are really just metrics.
Yeah.
And yeah, you must understand, right? Like each platform that we have, aka like Instagram or like TikTok, YouTube, whatever, it is each platform, they operate on a different set of algorithms, and then they have like a bit different kind of approach to engaging their audience, but all of their motives, right, is to keep their audience on the app. That is just the plain motive of every single social media app. And then like once you realize that, right, you know that that's why like a lot of the viral videos are like really don't need to use brain, just watch and then it goes on and on, that kind of thing. Or like that's how you realize like, oh, if I keep chasing the numbers, I am just like being a slave to this app. I'm just trying to help them retain audience on the platform, but that's like doing nothing for yourself in terms of converting your numbers to sales. Yeah. So that. Oh, sorry. You want to say anything?
No, go ahead. You say. Yeah.
That's why, right? Like when I started to build my own TikTok, I do it in a very, very objective manner, because maybe TikTok's algorithm is a little bit friendlier in terms of they actively push everyone's content out regardless of your following. So I'm very, very objective when I try to grow my TikTok, because I know that it's all an experiment. Every single video just gives me data point on what the audience would like, what would retain attention, and what would convert that to followers, and how much that will convert to sales. And let me tell you, even though I have so-called a small little following on TikTok,
Small little. 1 second.
Okay, sorry. As compared to like
Okay, no numbers,
big followings, like a few millions, because like, you know, that's what TikTok's capable of, right? I only have I not only, but I have a beautiful 70+K. But really, the conversion to sales, right, it is less than like 0.1%. Okay, like the numbers don't mean anything.
Yeah, and I think then also like our coach also mentioned this in one of our coaching calls, right? That you feel like so at that point in time I did a coaching call with him, I had 69K followers on Instagram, right? And then he's like, oh 69, okay, then if you constantly think that this 69 is not enough, right? You would think that, oh my god, someone who has 690K or like 690,000, you just keep looking further and further, and like the numbers somehow will like in a sense like never be enough one. So I think what you should focus on instead of the numbers is the value that you can provide for your audience. I think that is just the crux of a creative business. And remember, it's a business has to provide value, it has to close a certain gap in the market. If you're doing something that nobody needs it, I'm sure you feel the resistance selling it to people also, right? Like, oh my god, I'm telling people that something do not need and the world do not need or the earth do not need it. Like, definitely you feel like resistance trying to sell. And then yeah, so basically you just need to make sure that there is value in what you create, and just remember that everything is an exchange. Like what Seemin say, money is just energy that you use to exchange. So I quote Dan for this because he shared a very interesting example in his podcast. Is that in the olden days when people do not have currencies, what they do is they trade a milk for bread, right? Say, hey, do you want bread? You want bread? I have milk. And then you want milk? Okay, let's do an exchange. And the birth of currency came when this person needed milk and then I didn't need the bread that she has. So instead of using the bread exchange, we now introduce currency. So currency is now then the thing that I use to exchange. So as long as it benefits the both parties, there's no need to feel any guilt or I don't know, whatever feelings that you have around like pricing your offers or whatnot. Yeah. So you just have to be clear in your own mind that whatever you're providing aligns with your values, first of all. Then secondly, it provides value to the people, your target audience. And that's basically it. That's as simple as it is. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
We always talk about money as an outcome-based goal, aka like money is the outcome of our work. But we have to start thinking of it as an impute goal. Meaning whatever energy that you impute into this will give you money. So in that sense, money and pricing is something that you shouldn't think about before your impute. Like how much value you want to give, fixing your mindset with regards to your self-belief, or tweaking your offering in order to match the gap in the market, that kind of thing. So once you like start to think of money in this sense, it's energy and it's impute, it's value driven, and pricing and money, that is not out of your control. I mean, that can be, but like that will always come as a byproduct.
It is always a byproduct. Yeah. If you start to use money as a motivator or numbers on the outside as a motivator, it's a very poor motivator and you will run out of energy earlier than you realize. Yeah. Because you're putting so much focus on the external factors and they are basically things that you cannot control. So it always goes back to the point where like you ask yourself, what is something you can control today? I think that's very important. Yeah. And yeah, I think just one last point also, like our coach also mentioned that like we all humans are alive and the job is dead. So what you have to do is you have to really seek in at who is this person you are inside, what's your identity. For example, for both of us, you see we do different courses, right? And now we started coaching people. So basically it's inside us. Yeah, it's not what you do. Like today it's like we can go do something else as well. We'll still end up probably doing the same conversations with people that we meet. So you really have to seek inwards and like know who you are inside, and then what happens on the outside doesn't matter because the job is dead. You give the job meaning because you are a human. So like maybe I don't know, maybe like 20 years from now I'm not a cake artist anymore. I will be a jaguar artist. But just saying, yeah, you know, like it's really on the inside. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any
Even if now I stop doing HennDrawn, right? And then like I go overseas, then I just make coffee as a barista. But I believe I can still create the same kind of conversations. I can still touch lives. I can still make feel empowered, you know, just
Yes.
by who I am, because it's like, you must understand, like it's all like within, like who you are. Like nobody can take that away from you, and it doesn't matter, you know. The pricing will always like work out on itself after you fix inwards. How do you seek insight?
Oh, it's a very
Wow.
long answer. Hmm.
But you have to be honest with yourself.
Yes, I think it starts with being honest with yourself. Yeah, it's so important. Like ask yourself questions that you may feel uncomfortable with, and yeah, just being honest. Like for example, if you're not good at something, be honest with yourself that you're not good at this and you should not dwell further. Or if let's say you know you're good at something, don't be afraid to pursue it as well. Just basically starts with being honest with yourself. Yeah. Don't know whether there's some question somewhere that you can start asking. Oh, I know LITO has this podcast. Yeah, the podcast episode is called Being Honest with Ourselves. Yeah. Go listen, go listen. I cannot remember which episode it is. But yeah, just go listen. It's life changing. It's changed both our lives. Yeah.
I think maybe you can start with the first 3 questions. I always come back to when I feel like I don't know who I am. I hope I can remember the 3 questions. One is, who am I? Who am I? We're not talking about your accomplishments, your accolades, your achievements, your job, your hobby, your significant other, your house, or whatever. The podcast name is LITO, LITO.
Oh, I can type it down. Yeah, I can type. Don't worry, you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, who am I? Yeah. And then, how do I make my keyboard come down? Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Who am I? And the second one is, what do I serve as a person? Yeah. And the third one is, how can I bring peace to others and myself?
Wow,
I think
I
this
love it.
very like origin questions that
I'm taking notes.
yeah, you can always come back to, and you have to answer super honestly. And then maybe that's when you'll find some answers that you need.
Very grounding questions. Thank you for that. Let's see if we have any other questions. How
Should we move on? I think no more like questions made by Minse. I'm screen recording this just in case.
Hi Shamin! So happy you're here. Yeah, don't worry, we'll definitely upload this entire thing. Okay, yeah, I think no more questions. If you guys have, just type it inside the comments. I wanted to address these 2 questions that we received on IG. I think they are very good questions. Both will touch point on the mindset and some simple ways that you can also think of how you can price. So okay, let's just get down into it. It's by the Weird and Wild. Hi, don't know whether you're here or not, but the question that she posted, I think a lot of small creative entrepreneurs face as well, because I've actually seen it everywhere basically, and we ourselves been through it as well. So she said, I receive requests from big name clients, and there are times where they charge very little for creative work. I think she meant like they are willing to pay very little for creative work. It's hard to turn it down because I don't want to seem rude, but I also know they have the capacity to pay. Plus, sometimes it is also a good exposure, but I fear that if I push back, the opportunity will be lost. Yeah. So, well, this is a very common issue that a lot of people are facing. So I think there are a few parts to this question that we can address. So maybe one part at a time. Firstly, the part where he or she mentioned that I don't want to seem rude when I turn it down. So remember, Seemin was talking about nothing is personal, everything is neutral. So you just need to take yourself away from the emotional standpoint and say that maybe you just kindly explain that after understanding the requirements and what you can provide, that maybe you guys are not a good match for each other.
I think this is the most professional way of, in a sense, turning someone down if you really don't see that you guys are a good match for each other. And that's basically it. So there's no emotions in place. It's not that they hate you, or it's not that they want to try to like squeeze, you dry, such things. Yeah. So basically, it's just that you guys are not a good match for each other. So that's the first thing. Second part of the question is that, this struggle as to whether you should accept or you shouldn't accept, but they're also fearing that it's a good exposure. So back to what we said in the beginning of the podcast, right? There is really no right and wrong answers to it. Because in any situation, depending on the stage of where your business is at, how are you doing with your money now, and what are the requirements of the company, everything varies from here. So you yourself, you need to trust and you need to like your reasons for doing so. And that's it. So you need to have full belief in what you are providing your clients, whether you are rejecting or you're accepting this offer. So let's see. And yeah, so basically you need to be clear on the unique selling point that you're providing. So like I say, you can ask your the client further, like what is the thing that exactly they are seeking, and then you ask yourself, are you the person who provide that value? If you know that you yourself can provide the value that what the client is seeking, then I think there is no fear in trying to push the prices higher, because you're confident in what you're providing can solve a problem of that big company. So I think for this pricing part, right, this is the mindset behind it. Firstly, you need to know what's your value, and how you price it, right? I like to call it like value-based pricing, because now you know what's your value already, right? Then you know from there on that how do you charge. So again, I think not a plug for LITO podcast, but there's also episode 26. I think it's called Pricing Your Offers. Yesterday I just listened and it's so good. So they actually did mention this part before. There's no right and wrong. For example, the project that the company is asking you to do, maybe your budget, what you would like to charge them is say 3,000, but their budget is only say 2,000. And like then you have to ask yourself, once everything is aligned, for example, the value that you provide and everything else is aligned, right? Then because pricing is fluid, there's no fixed number to it. So that you then have to ask yourself, if I were to do it for $2,000, is there something else that I can benefit from it? So maybe in your case, you said that there might be exposure, good exposure. So then you have to ask yourself, do you really think it's a good exposure? Okay. Like once you kind of know that, affirm yourself, like, oh, you heard from friends that you do know this is a good exposure, maybe you can then do it for $2,000. And then you take the responsibility of your own action, that one that you go ahead with it. And then so what if you end up being wrong? Then it's okay, you learn. So there's really like, you don't have to be hard on yourself thinking, oh no, I should have charged them 3,000, blah 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 kind of thing. Then you keep on renting and then it never ends. So basically, yeah, these are just very simple questions you have to ask yourself. Like maybe you really like this client, and maybe you can see that this client is also trying very hard to fight for your budget, or you can see a long-term working relationship with this client. Then go ahead. I think you can charge lower than what you're, because you're also gaining other benefits. So I think this is where you need to kind of like do some assessment in your case, because I cannot speak for you. I'm not your business as well. Yeah. So these are the few questions that you can ask, because I think we ourselves have done that before. You just need to kind of roughly know, and experiences will teach you as well. When you're starting out, it's okay to price wrongly. Like I say, we both undercharged before for classes and everything else, yeah. And then the more you progress, the better you get. You need to learn how to readjust your prices as you go. Yep, am I right?
Yeah.
That's all the things.
Yeah, correct. I want to add one more thing to it, is if you're like us, we're very feeling one, right? And then like you're like, oh, you exposure, and then you have this like emotional attachment to like exposure, like, oh yeah, it sounds good. But to grow you back to logical sense, in order to help you with pricing, because pricing handles with numbers, right? You can quantify exposure. You can like try and quantify exposure. So by asking yourself like, okay, what do they mean by exposure? Is it like posting it or just on their Instagram posts? How much views do they get? What do you think is the conversion of followers and sales for you for exposure? Or like, how much is their exposure worth? Like, how much is one follower worth to you in terms of like money wise? And then you see whether like the money that you give versus what they are like giving you back, you see if it matches you. Because remember, it's a conversation, and often it doesn't really have to end there. Like, oh, like this person, like client come with ask me for budget. I tell them what's my price, and then they push back, and then you're like, oh my god, the conversation just ends there. Usually it's like that, but you have to like understand like, oh, how come like they have a lower perception of how much this project is worth or how much my work is worth. Maybe I don't know fully like what are the requirements of the project, so you can always like ask them back questions like, oh, like maybe like I thought too highly of the requirements of this project. Maybe like I want to get to know like what what exactly are the things I need to do expected of me, how much is the work, like with any single project, especially like for example if you're like an content creator, for example, every single project, right, even though it's like maybe to push out one IG post, the amount of effort required for every post is different, and you shouldn't really charge the same flat rate for every single post, because if the requirements are different, you need different kind of work, including prep work. Okay, prep work is also work, and you have to include that in your budgeting. If every single project like requires different amount of work, then obviously you can't just rely on what the client tells you. You have to ask them more questions in order to find out how much work is needed for every single project. And that's when the conversation is like starting. Then you're trying to find like a middle ground, and like you must understand you are human, the client is human also. They will also like, it's not like they just want to eat your money, you know, like they don't want you to die. As an artist, like they're just not aware. Like you have to understand,
they're not aware.
they have never been artists before, like clients, they are not aware. So we have to enlighten them by like keeping this conversation alive and like not being scared to talk about money and to negotiate for your worth. Yes.
So I think what I'm hearing is it really boils down to communication and no assumptions. I think that's very important. So communication and zero assumptions, because it's so easy, right, to base it off your past project of probably say working with a corporate client, and then maybe you had a bad experience with a corporate client previously because they didn't understand your scope of work, and then maybe something bad happened, and then now a second corporate client comes up to you and say, oh, my budget is this, and it's lower than your what your rate is. Firstly, don't have any assumptions that, oh my god, this corporate client sucks again, for example. It's so easy to just go into that thought process. Yeah, so I think the most important thing is remove any assumptions you have, start from a blank slate, and then ask questions like what Seemin say, hold a conversation with them, and then from there you all will then really find out that if you guys are a good fit for each other. And if let's say it's really not, then just let the opportunity pass, because good opportunities will keep coming. Like you don't have to be afraid of that. Yeah, you just have to keep putting yourself out there. Yeah, every time you put yourself out there, it's telling the world that like they should choose you. If I make sense, you know. Yeah, so like you, in a sense, what I mean is you really have to fight for what you believe in. If you can sit down at home and say, I really believe in climate change, I really believe in this, and then you just sit down on your couch and don't do anything, then I think it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so basically that's it. Yeah, you have to boil down communication. How should we go about when they try to micromanage you despite clearly understanding what you offer and like your work? Any thoughts?
How should go when trying to micromanage you despite clearly understanding what you offer and like your work? I think every single client, right, want to minimize risk on their part, especially if they are not the ones directly hiring you. Okay, sorry, they are not the paymaster, so maybe they are the agency. They got someone to answer to. Yeah, so with every single transaction, right, with every single time a client engages you, the higher you price is also dependent on how much risk you can help the client, how much risk you can like how do I say this? Okay, like how much risk, right, you can ensure and take care of in your part will also determine how much you can price to the client and how much the client values your work. So the micromanaging part, that one is a bit out of your control, but then it always comes from the part of like them being like, oh my god, this is so risky. right? Like I don't have perfect information about what you are doing or what you are giving. So maybe we can communicate with them to see like what do they really need to minimize the risk. Yeah. So if I was you, I would say something like, hey, I noticed that you've been having a lot of questions about my process. Maybe let's have a call where we have a conversation where we settle all your inquiries and all the worries that you have. I want this to be a very happy collaboration together, and I really appreciate and I do hope that you hire me because you trust in my work. And I also have a lot of expertise in my experience, and I hope that by having this conversation, I'll help to alleviate any of your fears that you have. Correct.
Yeah, correct. I want to say something. And I think very important, the vibe is very important. So if you can really feel, because I think our instincts are quite accurate also. Like if let's say on your end you see that you're really trying your best to communicate, and because you really like this project and you want it to proceed, but you kept feeling resistance from a client, right? That they're just trying to make things difficult for you. I think you also need to know when to make a decision to put a stop to it. When you are feeling that you don't try to go into say a business exchange, right? When you are really struggling so hard at the proposal phase, and if somewhere somehow there's a red flag, right? And you still went in because it's like, oh, we've been talking for so long already. They seem really nice, but they keep micromanaging. That there's just a lot of red flags along the way, right? If you ultimately end up taking this job, I can tell you it's a river of misery after that. So you need to, based on your experiences, kind of roughly tell as well. And like I said, just have a conversation with them and to understand really what is it they're micromanaging about and clear any misunderstanding. And if after that happens, they still try to micromanage, then clearly they do not understand what you do. And maybe, they are just not the right client for you. Yeah, set boundaries with clients sometimes. Yeah, you have to gauge. And I think it comes with experiences. I think both, okay, I don't know whether Seemin did that before, but in my past, my job, I have definitely accepted jobs that I really do not feel for. But at that point of time, I wasn't aware and I was like, I just need the money, and then I'm like, and kind of thing. And then, it was just really a river of misery for me. And then, at every point, just like, I cannot wait for this project to end. And I think all these are very bad vibes. But it's okay, we learn, we all make mistakes. See, because I made the mistakes, then now today I know how to handle it better. So don't be afraid of mistakes, okay, guys? Like we all make mistakes. Yeah. No mistakes.
You made a mistake, so today you can teach people how to not make that mistake.
Yes, correct. Oh my god. Like I share all this, right? It's because we have been through shit and struggle. So like we've been through things that we wish we didn't, and then we just share in hopes that you guys can learn something out of it also. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So far there's no question. Okay, maybe 1.5 hours in already. Okay, let me just maybe towards the end already. Okay, I have this very important question also. It's by Hui Ling from IG yesterday that I got her question. Also a very important question, I feel. She has 3 questions in fact, but I feel like 2 of them are quite linked together. So first one, she asked, how can we stop ourselves from being eaten up by the rat race? Which I think throughout this entire IG live you will hear, I think at some points we kind of did mention about as well. Secondly, how to stop comparing with others in terms of price or number of followers. So I think, so this one, Seemin, take it away or I share the thing?
You share first. I'm typing the question to pin.
Oh, okay. Oh, thanks for doing that. Okay. Oh, actually, I can type and paste. Do you want me to do that? Because I use it on my laptop.
I'm almost done already.
Oh, you're almost done? Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, while Seemin is typing, I'll just share, okay? How can we stop ourselves from being eaten up by the rat race? A very simple answer to that is you simply don't allow yourself to compare or get eaten by the rat race. So more specifically, right? Yeah, you can choose have a choice. Like Seemin said, you have a choice. You always have a choice. Okay. So let me go into more specifically how you can do that. Is firstly you need to understand that we are all different. Oh, and that's the answer. That's the only answer. We are all different. So there's no point. There is no point in comparing. The person can be making cakes and you are making cakes also, but it doesn't matter because you guys are different people. There's just no basis for comparison, you see. Yeah, yes, you guys are making cakes, right? But it's so different kind of cakes, maybe. Even if you guys are using the same ingredients, the way that you guys do it will always be different because you are you and that person is that person. So you guys are different people. You guys are on different timelines. You guys grow up in different environments, and you guys have very different unique skill sets. So all these like variations, right? Like how do you compare? There's just no basis of comparison. Yeah, I think Seemin shared with me one thing that one of her clients shared with her, that we are really all made unique and special, and there is only one you like in this world. So instead of focusing on the outside, on like how to stop comparing yourself with others, again, seek inwards. Like just ask yourself like what you're doing, and yeah, so once you understand that, right, it really doesn't matter what you're comparing. It doesn't matter price, it doesn't matter number of followers or whatever, because you will always understand that what you put out there is always different from what another person put out there. So in this case, you really need to celebrate your identity. Like we are all unique, and I believe there's something that we all can put out there for the world. Yeah. So don't compare. Yeah, this is the quickest answer I can give it to you. And then she actually linked these two questions together. She put how to stop comparing with others in terms of price, number of followers, when in actual fact we are using better quality ingredients or we are having more skilled techniques. So this is also a call for concern. Again, you have to remember, right? For the very same reason, don't compare. So today I can give you an example. Even if you guys are using the same quality ingredients, right? It doesn't matter if you are using better one than that person. The way you do it is again different from that person. So in a sense, it boils down to the techniques itself. So what sets you apart from that person? That is your value. The value that you're bringing to the world. So again, remember what is the value you're providing to the world, and then from there kind of like just what's that called massively put yourself out there and let people know what is your value. So right now you say maybe now, so I don't really know what's the problem right now, so I'm just guessing. Let's say the problem right now is are you not pricing high enough for your business to make enough or better profits, or you're just looking at other people and you think they're making better profits. So now let's look at the situation. What is something you can control? What is something you cannot control? So what is something you cannot control? Something you cannot control is how they run their business and how they price their products. That is something you cannot control. But now you ask yourself, what is something I can control? So something that you can control is maybe like you know that today you're using very skilled techniques and you're using better quality ingredients. Does your clients know? Like, does your consumers know that you are using more quality products? So again, it goes back to marketing. It's a conversation you hold with your customers, or say, so for, I think you're doing cakes, right? Yeah. So when you're doing cakes today, like you are speaking the language of your craft, but if you're running a business, you need to speak the language of business as well. So like you need to speak the language of the people who are able to afford your things. So if you're pricing your cake for like maybe an entremet for $10, you know that your target market is not the auntie in the market, right? It's definitely not them. So you cannot speak their language, right? Then you have to then do your own research. So this is something you can control. Who is your target audience? Like sit down and then kind of go through your list, like who's your target audience? How do you want to market your things? How do you want to let them know that, hey, we're using very high quality ingredients and what we do requires very skilled labors? Because I often feel like the reason why people do not purchase something is not because they are trying to like squeeze you dry or trying to like cut your budget. It's just simply because they do not understand. It's just a lack of communication. Yeah. And when you put yourself out there to share this conversation and educate people, then I think it solves a lot of problems from there on. Yeah. So basically, yeah, are you marketing enough to let the people in your target audience know? Yeah, because that is what happened with Winifred Kristé Cake as well. Like our cakes are not cheap, like people know it. Yeah, but the thing is, like in the first place, did I face a lot of resistance when I priced it very high? Yes, of course. And then I start to realize that it's not because people because you know, like in Singapore, when you think about cakes, you think about, oh, Bangkawang solo or whatnot. Okay, maybe, I don't know, I started 10 years ago, so the narrative was that back then. Yeah, and then I mean, these days we have to compare, like, oh, you know, the shop there is only like, oh, only 200. Why are you $2,000? Like, who are you? Yeah, you know. Then I'll be like, okay, like, calm down. Maybe they do not understand what's the process. So explain to them, like, how many days it takes. This kind of skilled techniques has taken me 7 years to train for it. If you can find someone that can replicate the same thing that I've done, please go ahead. Because in that sense, I feel like they will be happier. I will be happier as well. Like, I do not want to persuade someone who really do not see the value in me, and then try to make them pay this money, and then I'll be unhappy, and then the person will be unhappy as well. So always make sure it has to be a happy, like, exchange between both of y'all. Yeah. Okay, that's all.
I always feel right, if I'm talking to client, right, then I'll be like, okay, if I mean, in my feeling, I don't really say it to them, but I'm like, okay, if right, you can find someone who can do at the same level that I do, at the same speed that I do, and charge even cheaper, refer them to me because I want to hire them.
Yes, it's just objectively speaking. Everything is objective. It's neutral.
Yes.
Agree. So you just have to be smart about the languages of business that you want to make use of. Yeah. And remember, just a quick reminder again, marketing is not sleazy, okay? It is only sleazy when you do not believe in your own craft. That's all. Yeah. And yeah, I was thinking, should I share this analogy? But okay, it's an analogy that really changed my mind also. Like, my coach said that there's this analogy called the poop analogy. So if you're a creative person, right? I hope you guys have eaten and then don't feel like puking at this. But yeah, so if you're a creative person, right, you are not a one-trick pony. One-trick pony maybe it's because it's those people who like sell slimming pills. They only have one product up their sleeves, you know. So they keep marketing and marketing, and then by the time goes, they only stay at one product. But you are a creative. You have a lot of things inside your brain, and then there's so many things that you can learn and create. So when I was creating from a mindset of scarcity, which was what led me to my self-limiting beliefs, he actually asked me this question: will you ever stop pooping? And then then I told him, no, of course I will not stop pooping because I will keep eating. Then he was like, Dad, you just answer your own question. You will always learn new things, so you don't have to be afraid of creating. Yeah, so you don't have to, think that, oh, today I've created my best work, and then you think that tomorrow you will not be able to do your best work again, and then you suck. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, there's no, if you allow yourself to have this feeling of like this is your best work, right, you will limit your own potential by so much. You need to open up the ceiling and then realize that there is so much that you can do and you can bloom from there. And then every time you feel stuck, you can always then read more things and then, read and learn. And then, I mean, that's how just humanity is. We just learn and we learn and we go, right? Like, everybody starts from somewhere. Yeah. Okay. What a way to join. Oh, hi, Denise. Hi. Thanks for supporting. I'm so excited. Yes, cool. Yeah, so basically that's it. Wow, we've spoken so long. I hope you guys are not tired.
Hey, wait, I got one question.
Any question? Okay.
Yeah, this Indian Inks. Let me.
.sg.
Yeah. Hey, can you see?
Takes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I put down the question for you.
Yeah, she asked, how do we price something yet keep it affordable to our audience? And I went to clarify what she meant. Basically, she is balancing between trying to target like people like maybe students, people who cannot afford it, and yet making it pricing according to her time and her skills. So I feel like we might think that these two might not be able to coexist together, but it's more of like you have to decide which one you want to prioritize. For example, if you only have one offering and this person who asked is a henna artist, so if you only have one offering, aka maybe you're just your henna service and nothing else, you have to decide which one you want to prioritize. You want to make it affordable to your chosen clientele, target audience, or you want to charge higher because you think you're worth that much. And there's no right or wrong. Like what Winifred said before, with every single creative decision, the only right decision, right, is the one that sits right with you. So if you can find a common ground where you can still appeal to the target audience that you want to appeal to, making it affordable for them, and yet you still feel fulfilled, and feel that your time is valued correct by the price that you set, then that's great. But if you cannot, my advice to you is to create different offerings. So you don't just have to be a henna artist. You don't just have to offer like henna services. Maybe you can hire someone to do henna services at a more affordable rate, or you can start selling stuff that's like merchandise or whatever that's cheaper, or you can start teaching, or you can do art jams where you don't necessarily have to be the one drawing. You're just letting people experience, and maybe you can, that will be like your lower tier offering. So once like that, like, okay, this group of people I want to target, students or people who cannot afford, I want to create a lower tier offering to meet their needs, so I can still be in contact with this group of people.
I think there are already so many ways you can do. Like Seemin mentioned a few just now, right? You can either teach, you can do art jams, you can do merchandise. Another thing I thought of is like, if you still want it to be your craft to the audience, is that you can create tattoo stickers. Like, you know, that's just another option. It's something that you can like scale in terms, and you do not need to be there all the time. So to be honest, if you think about like Jaguar ink, it's only just one thing. But there are so many things that you can actually do with it. So one thing I learned very importantly in creative business, that is depending on what you do, because I've been through the phase where I had a huge team. I also been through the phase right now that I'm more solopreneur. Is that the word? So there are really how do I put it? It's two very different but similar journeys. So when you're a creative, let's say you have a team, right? You obviously want to focus on the creative because you're doing a creative work, but it's very important to also have a what does it call it? What's the word for it? Like a quick cash cow, like something that is not very, you know what I mean? Like you need something that is more neutral, no, not neutral, affordable, but it doesn't take you away from your identity. So I give you a very quick example. Last time when we were doing cakes for Winifred Kristé Cake, right, we have two lines of cakes, which is what Seemin was talking about, the offering. So one of them is highly custom. So it will take me a very long time and my expertise to do it. And obviously they'll be priced a lot higher. I have a second line of cakes, right, that I just let my girls do it. So it's not, I do not deviate from what I do. There are still sugar flowers, but maybe something that doesn't require so much of like meeting time with my clients, because time is also money. You have to think about all those costs. So like with the second line of cake, it was more direct, like, oh, you know, just order from the online ordering form, and then that's it, and then the girls create. So that one will be something that is in a sense cash cow, and then with that money I use it to then fund, you know, my time and my energy to create a more custom cake line. So this is just an example. So if you're thinking about doing creative stuff, you can also think about that. Like you don't have to really just focus on one thing. There's really so many ways you can price your offerings, or even, you know, that's like kind of what's it called, like expand your offerings. Yes. Oh, we talked so much. I hope you guys are not tired already. I think that's about it, right?
That's about it. We finished everything we wanted to cover, and also all the questions that we got already. Yes. If y'all got any more questions, feel free to ask.
5
or
minutes.
y'all can send to this.
You want to donate us money also can Venmo. No, kidding.
How to donate?
I'm kidding. You want to pay for our services today also can. My PayPal email is Oh my goodness.
We got nothing to sell. Honestly, nothing to sell.
We have nothing to sell. We just want to share, okay? And if after this you guys have any more questions, y'all can always drop any of us an email, or not email, DM or anything. We're happy to help. And I think I have just some recommendations to end off this IG live. So if you guys are looking for a book to read, I think we have one book that we really love. It's called The Win Without Pitching Manifesto by Blair and okay, let me write it down. The Win Without Pitching Manifesto Blair. And okay, yeah, so that's the book. Oh, Payla. Can do Payla too.
I'm just kidding.
And then the other podcast that we always mention about is the LITO podcast. Yeah, so don't want to flood you guys with too much resources. If not, you all will feel it's very hard to start because there's too many. So you guys can start from these two. If listening is easier for you, you all can always just go for the podcast. It's something that really saved our lives from 2 years ago until now, still saving. Yay, okay, so I think that's it, right? Thanks friends for joining also. You're so supportive. Like shout out Seemin, Denise, Sam, who else? Let me scroll up the list. Jasmine, Mary May, Eto, hello. And then who else? Oh my god, scrolling. Akela. Okay, so many I cannot scroll finish. But yeah, thanks so much. So I think that's it. Hey, we are not bad, right? We maintain the engagement for like so many people. I'm so excited. We are so happy that you guys are very interested in what we talk about. Maybe next time we can like do more of it. We'll see how it comes up for us, like the flow, and like if you guys have any question, like topics that you guys maybe want to really hear from us, and then feel like you're, I don't know, just want to hear from us. Yeah, just let us know. I think we will be very happy to just help in any ways. Yeah. Okay. Yay. So then now Sumi.
We will save the life. We will save the life. Feel free to rewatch it. And thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise. Next time we will do something together.
Yeah, we should.
Yay. Denise is also another very empowering woman in our lives.
Oh, don't they listen if you all had a podcast? So cute.
Oh, is that a hint? Oh, I see Gail joined in the first place also. I'm not sure if she's still here, but she also said we need a podcast. Yeah.
Aww.
We shall see. We shall plan something out if possible. Yeah. We also want to record everything we say. And then when we are older, we listen back to our younger selves. And then I'm like, oh, we learned so much too.
Yeah, so beautiful. GDL.
GDL. Thanks. You like finally learn what is GDLL. So funny. Okay. Oh my god, you're still here. Hello. Okay, we'll work on it. Seemin, let's go.
Yeah, let's
looking forward to our next project. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay. Okay, thank you. Okay, see y'all. Remember to
bye.
Bye bye.